We move on now to Europe, and tensions in Turkey have escalated following the arrest of Istanbul Mayor Ekrem Imamoglu, a leading political rival of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, on corruption charges. This sparked the largest protests in over a decade, with tens of thousands taking to the streets in Ankara and Istanbul. Opposition supporters view the arrest as a direct attack on the rule of law. The leader of Turkey's opposition, Republican People's Party, has called for mass rallies demanding open trials and early elections. In response, authorities have launched a severe crackdown, detaining nearly 1,500 people, including 7 journalists who covered the protests. Rights groups have expressed concern over these actions, raising alarm about the suppression of dissent and press freedom. The situation continues to unfold, highlighting growing political and social unrest in the country. Here's what the President of Turkey and opposition leader have said.
Sokaklarda terör estirenlerin, bu ülkeyi yangın yerine çevirmek isteyenlerin varacağı hiçbir menzil yoktur. Girdikleri yol çıkmaz sokaktır.
Martesi günü İstanbul'un bir büyük meydanında Ekrem İmamoğlu'na sahip çıkmak için, Ekrem İmamoğlu'nun tutukluluğuna, belediye başkanlarımızın her birinin tutukluluğuna itiraz etmek için, şeffaf, açık, canlı yayında yargılamalar talep etmek için, artık canımıza tak etti, erken seçim istiyoruz demek için bir büyük mitinge var mısınız?
Well, thank you, Dr. Mirza, for joining us today. I want to ask you firstly, how unprecedented is what we're seeing in Turkey right now?
Well, it is not totally unprecedented, because in 2013 we had the Gezi Park protests in which millions of people had turned out in various cities of Turkey against Erdogan's encroachment of public spaces. This time it is against the encroachment of democratic rights and lack of transparency in the government. And this time it is more politically focused and motivated, because the Turkish common man and woman, they think that Erdogan is trying to bring in such presidential powers that may turn him into an authoritarian dictator. Already there is a situation where we see that Tayyip Erdogan has always handled these situations, protests against his party, Justice and Development Party, brutally. And since the coup that failed, he has been witch hunting all those who are opposed to his economic, but more so to his political plans. And he has this ambition of raising himself to the stature of the leader of Islam, like the Khilafat, like the Sultanate of Osmania, Ottoman Empire. So he tries to sell this dream of greatness to his Turkish audience. But the Turks have changed. The Turks want to modernize. They associate themselves with Western European societies more than with the conservative medieval Ottoman societies, or Islamic societies for that matter. And the biggest issue among the public is that when could they become eligible for properly joining the European Union? And they see Erdogan as a major obstacle towards meeting that end. So these are very significant, but they are not unprecedented. Ever since Tayyip Erdogan has been in power, we have seen massive protests against himself and his party.
Yes, Dr. Mirza, what action do you think we will see against the people that have been arrested?
Well, the people who will be arrested, they will be obviously put in detention centers, but you cannot put 15 million people in detention centers and prisons. There are not enough prisons in any country to hold a population of 15 million. So I think that their repression will go on, and at some point, I think that there might be a split in the Justice and Development Party. I'm sure that already there are discussions among the top leadership of Justice and Development Party regarding the handling of this situation, because the presidential election is just about around the corner in 2028. So they must be worried, not for Erdogan, but for their own sake, that how can they survive these couple of years before the elections. And I think that there are chances that there might be an internal coup in the party, and Tayyip Erdogan might be asked to leave. And the role of military generals should not be, oversighted, because the military generals have always played a significant role in the governance, in handling the government affairs of the country, political as well as ideological. So we have to look at that aspect as well, that where do the army generals stand and what are they thinking, which I have no where to find out.
Yes, and Dr. Mirza, I want to look at comments that have come in from Erdogan. He said that the show will be stopping soon. Do you think that he's potentially disregarding public sentiment and public opinion on this issue? And what might be his reason for that?
Well, the reason is arrogance, and all dictators and all authoritarian leaders have always disregarded public protest, public opinion, public dissent. And it's not something that is should be surprising. What is surprising is that he has failed to control inflation, to bring it down to a sustainable level. I mean, in 2022, I remember the inflation was about around 85 to 86%, somewhere vacillating between that. Now it is about 42 to 44%. So he can claim that he has brought down the inflation, but it hasn't come down to a level where it starts to better the life, feel that they have more money in their pockets. So he is basically failed to uplift the Turkish economy, and this is one of the main concerns as well. And that there is deep-seated frustration among the citizens who are demanding, as I said earlier, for more democratic freedoms, for more transparency. And now with the arrest of Republican Party's leader, the investors' confidence has already shaken. It was shaken before, but now they see that this political problem in Turkey is not being resolved democratically, peacefully, and there is so much repression going on, water cannons, bullets being fired, tear gas, baton charge, etc., detaining. So the investor confidence is shaking. If the investors hold their investment even for 1 week, that is a big dent in any economy. So one thing is this, the other is market volatility. Now we have to look at the markets at the end of this week, that how do they react to this uprising, or this, it's not an uprising, but these massive protests. So we have to look at these things, but the hallmark of Tayyip Erdogan's his days in power has been about consolidating power, about undermining democratic institutions, and about silencing opposition voices. And we have seen that all through his tenure. 20 years we have seen that.
Dr. Amjad Ayub Mirza, thank you ever so much for providing that insight. As protests continue in Turkey, we will, of course, be across all of those. But that is all that we have time for. We'll continue to bring you more of the latest international news very soon.